All right, what's the real secret weapon for crushing it at university? It's not just about cramming in the library or, finding that one amazing professor. Nope. Today, we're diving into something that's a total game changer for students. We're talking about the peer academic leader.
And this quote, man, it just nails it. A peer academic leader, or a PAL as they're often called, isn't some stuffy advisor you have to make an appointment with 3 weeks in advance. No way. This is someone who just walked in your shoes. They get it. They've been there, done that, and the advice they think is so real because it's fresh. That connection, that's where the magic happens.
And look, this isn't just a bunch of feel-good stories. The power of this whole approach is backed by some serious research. In fact, everything we're talking about today comes from in-depth work published by the folks over at academicjobs.com. They are the place to go to really understand all the different roles that make the world of academia work.
Okay, let's get real for a second. Have you ever felt totally lost as a new student? I mean, completely overwhelmed by weird course codes, a campus map that looks like spaghetti, and just a sea of thousands of new faces? We've all been there. And that is exactly where a peer academic leader comes in to save the day. So what exactly is a PAL? Well, it's an upper year student who's been handpicked and trained to be your guide. Seriously, think of them like your personal campus GPS. The key thing here is they aren't faculty. They're your peers. They can help you figure out that super tough assignment, sure, but they can also point you to the best coffee on campus. It's the whole package. And it gets better. A PAL doesn't just do one thing. They kind of wear 3 different hats. First, they're your mentor, giving you that one-on-one advice. Then they're a facilitator, leading these awesome group study sessions that feel more like a team effort than a boring lecture. And finally, they're an advocate, pointing you to all the right campus resources so you're never left hanging. Okay, so the idea sounds great, right? But the big question is, does it actually work? Let's dive into the proof. Because this isn't just about warm fuzzies. These programs deliver some seriously real, measurable results. And what's so cool about this is that it's a total two-way street. It's not just the new students who benefit. For the mentees, yeah, you're looking at higher grades, a better chance of staying in school, and just feeling like you belong. But for the PALs themselves, wow, they get to develop amazing leadership skills, build a professional network, and beef up that resume. It's a classic win-win. Get ready for this number. Just let it sink in for a second. 20%. Some studies are showing that student retention, that's students actually staying in school, can jump by up to 20% for those in these programs. Think about what that means. That's 1 in every 5 students who might have otherwise left now staying and getting their degree. That's a massive, massive impact. And it's not just about sticking around. It's about thriving. We're talking about real academic performance. The data shows it again and again. Students who work with a PAL consistently get higher GPAs than students who don't. The proof, it's right there in black and white. All right, so we get what PALs are and we know they work. But where did this whole idea come from? And what does it look like in other parts of the world? Let's zoom out and take a look at the global picture. This isn't some hot new trend that just popped up. This idea has deep roots. It actually started way back in the 1970s in the United States with something called supplemental instruction. From there, the idea caught on, it evolved, it became PASS down in Australia and PAL over in the UK. And today, this proven model is being used in over 1,500 universities in more than 30 countries. That's incredible. And one of the coolest things is how flexible this model is. It's not a one-size-fits-all thing. So for example, at SMU in the US, they use PALs to help blend the academic and social life right in the dorms. But then you go to UNSW in Australia, and it's all about students leading discussions on their course material. And over at the University of Reading in the UK, they use PALs to tackle the toughest, most notorious classes. See, every university shapes it to fit exactly what their students need. Now you might be wondering how someone becomes a PAL. Well, it's not as easy as just putting your name on a list. There's a pretty tough selection process. They're looking for students with good grades, sure, but also real leadership potential and a true passion for helping people. And once they're chosen, they go through a whole bunch of specialized training to make sure they're totally ready for the job. So, where does it go from here? What's the future of peer leadership? Well, it's evolving to be smarter, more inclusive, and way more integrated than we've ever seen before. So what's on the horizon? Well, get this. We're seeing technology jump into the game. Think about AI being used to make the absolute perfect mentor-mentee match. or using data to spot students who might be struggling before they fall behind. And on top of that, there's this massive and really important push to make these programs more equitable and inclusive, making sure the PALs really reflect the diverse student body they're serving.
So, after hearing all that, the big question really becomes, how can you get involved? Maybe you're listening and thinking, hey, I could be a leader. Or maybe you're thinking, I could really use that kind of support. Either way, there's a place for you in this. And if you're feeling inspired to take that next step, you gotta have the right resources. And that brings us back to academicjobs.com, who published all the great research we've been looking at. They're really the go-to place for this. They have amazing guidance on the kind of training you need to become a top-tier peer academic leader, and they list actual job opportunities. It is the perfect place to kickstart your journey. Thanks so much for tuning in.